welcome back. Today I decided that I'm going to be teaching you guys how to code in Python. This will be kind of a continuation of the coding etiquette video. Oh my goodness, spider crashing is insane. Okay, we're back. So of course this is a continuation of the coding etiquette video. Here is the code that I wrote for that video. It's not much, but I think the first thing we should start with, as usual, is print statements. I feel like most people know what the print statements are, the hello world and all that, where you go print and then you put the parentheses and then you have the quotation marks and it's hello world, or you can write anything else. Uh, I don't think they should be too hard to understand, but if you want, you could practice printing a bunch of things like this. My name is the IT kid, and then you run the print statement. It's a lot of other things as well. You could print, let's say you want to print my house is on fire, and then you start the code, and then it'll run in the console and it'll print whatever you have here. It does print by line. I think with Java you have to do like whole thing where it's like system.out.print, and you have to specify if you want to go to the next line. So with Java, it'll write all of it in one line unless you specify you want to go to the next line. But in Python, it's pretty simple. You just write print, and then each line of code you write, it'll all be separated. So when it prints out, it'll be in three separate lines. I'll show you real quick. I'll run the code, and there, like you see, you have three separate lines. If this is Java, it would write it all in one line unless you specifically specified print line, and then it would move it to the next line. I mean, Java is good in a lot of ways. Java is very useful, but Python is good in terms of simplicity, and also most jobs that you want to apply for, if you're entering like the realm of computer science, data science, cybersecurity, you'll most likely need to know Python at least. So I feel like getting Python down is very important. Uh, there's not much else to say about print statements. It's print parentheses, put in quotations, and then you get the input that you wrote out. And there's another thing where you can receive inputs and then print those out, and that has to do with assigning variables. But before I delve into that, I'm going to talk about data types, because you kind of need to understand the concept of data types before you go into assigning variables and all of that. So in most coding languages, there's, Booleans, value equal to true or false. There's integers, which is just any whole number, negative or positive. There's doubles, which includes numbers of decimals. And then there is or in some languages I think it's called a float. So there's double/float that includes decimal points. And there is also strings and characters. Characters typically are just one letter, and strings is multiple characters. So this would typically be a string, and you put this in quotations, while you might have single quotes, and then you have a single character, and that is a character. And of course, integer, this would be an example of an integer. This would be an example of a double or a float. And yeah, there's true or false. Okay, so if you can understand these data types, I feel like the next concept should be fine enough to understand, which is assigning a variable. So you just can straight up have a new item, and you name it however you want. Name. But following along with coding etiquette, you want to use camel casing for variables. So if you have multiple words in the name, you want to do like name this. It should have the first word be lowercase and every word after that be uppercase. So name this thing. It should be this type of casing. And then you set it equal to. You can set it equal to an integer. Set it equal to a double. Set it equal to a string. Set it equal to a character, etc., etc. Set it equal to true or false. Well, to a Boolean, it'll have to be an uppercase, or it could be true, or it could be false. You have to make sure that it is uppercase. So once you have a variable, then you can print, and instead of putting print quotation marks and then a phrase or a string inside of it, you put print and then the variable that you created, and then you print the value that's on the variable. So here it prints false. If you had a string in there of any type, it would print the string. If you had an integer, so on and so forth, doubles, floats, blah, 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 blah. I feel like you understand. In this video is how to accept a user input. So to accept a user input, you're going to want to take a variable. So you want to create a new variable. You set it equal to, and right here, you're going to want to write input parentheses. And then what you have in this line is what will print out. So if you want to initially print out, give me a number between 1 to 10, do it like so, and then this is what it will print out. The user will then put in their input, and then you save that input to, basically, you save it to the variable. So yeah, so you print it out, and this number is assigned, the number that you assign is assigned to name this thing. Or, I mean, since it has no conditionals, I could literally write whatever I want, and it would be assigned to it. If I were to put conditional statements on it, then I could stop it from being anything but an integer between 1 and 10, but that is that, and I think, hopefully, that was a clear lesson on how to use variables, get user inputs, and print out strings. That's it for this video.